So tonight I attended an early screening of The Flash. It was showing near me. It was a critic screening with a few non-critics, and I got to see the movie early. So what I'm going to do today on this video is this is going to be a non-spoiler review for The Flash. About 11 months ago, I did a spoiler video about The Flash, and that was before there was even a trailer. I had gotten the information from, well, I'm not going to say who, but basically I had discussed what I was told, right, in that video. And so I'm not going to go over the spoilers here. But what I'm going to say is this. I will be doing a separate spoiler review. And if you want to know the accuracy of the spoilers, there were some changes made in this version of the film. I want you to know this. I was told, we all were told at this screening, that this might not be the final cut. The director himself opened up the screening straight up and was like, this may not be the finalized version. The movie comes out in a month. So DC has a whole month. They got 4 weeks to fix whatever they have to fix, because there were some things about this version of the movie that I knew were definitely need some polishing. So overall, non-spoiler, I'm going to say I did really enjoy this movie. As you know, based on the trailers, Michael Keaton returns to reprise his role as Batman from the '89 original Tim Burton Batman movie. He is in this film. That's why I went to go see this. That's why I was going to go see this. It has nothing to do with Ezra Miller. There's already people out there who are boycotting this movie, telling me I should never support it. Well, I didn't pay for the screening, first of all. And secondly, if I go see this movie, which I probably will go see again, it's not going to be for Ezra Miller. It's going to be for Michael Keaton. I'm going to say this, though. From an unbiased perspective, Ezra Miller was pretty good in this movie. He was a pretty damn good actor. He showed a lot of his versatility. He showed a lot of his, or they, whichever he wants to do. They showed a lot. He was very, very good as an actor in this movie. And I'm able to actually remove the actor from the person. I can remove Barry Allen from Ezra Miller. I can do that. Some people cannot do that. I understand. I understand that. So please be aware, and I'm sure if you're watching this review, most of you are probably planning on seeing the movie. So yes, I did like it. I'm going to tell you the good and the bad without spoiling it, and I'm going to say this. We did not get a post-credit scene or a mid-credit scene. We did not get that. There was no mid-credit scene. And I'm going to say that if you saw my spoiler video, about 80% of what was in that video is how the movie played out. But the third act was very different. It was very different from what actually wound up happening in the movie. Well, let me take that back. Not very different. It was different. It wasn't very different. Like I said, 80% of it was accurate. I'm still, on fire when it comes to these. There's no way I could have known unless I actually knew somebody. But I will say again that there were some changes made. Now, we know that James Gunn is now in charge of DC, and he's talked about how The Flash could be a universal rebooting story. So whatever they're planning on doing or what they think they're going to do, we did not get the mid or post-credit scene. So I look forward to seeing what that is going forward. And I'm telling you all this so that you know when you go see this movie that whatever they add in will tie into whatever's coming in the future, right? Whether it be Superman Legacy or just closing out the Snyder chapter, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, the pre-Gun chapter of the DCEU, even though Aquaman 2 is still coming. So just let you know that when you get out of the way now. I like this movie a lot. The time travel stuff was explained beautifully. It's a different sort of way of explaining time travel. I really appreciated it. Michael Keaton I wish he had more scenes. They gave us plenty of Batman action. I mean, there's a fight scene in this movie where he's just a complete animal. Like, he's awesome. We saw the Batmobile. I don't want to talk about any more vehicles in this movie because I don't want to spoil it. So, besides that, Michael Shannon was in this movie once again playing General Zod. Now, again, there's time travel stuff. I don't want to go into too much here. They do borrow a lot from Flashpoint, of course. You knew that. You knew that going in. One thing I will say is I felt like Michael Shannon could have been used better. I did feel that way. In other words, I didn't dislike his performance, but I was maybe expecting a bit more. That's the thing. I'm not sure if maybe my expectations were a bit higher when it comes to Keaton and Michael Shannon, but a lot of this movie is Ezra Miller. So when people say things like, "Oh, why didn't they reshoot it?" You have to see the movie. Ezra Miller is all over this movie, dude. Like, if you really don't like Ezra Miller, yo, and you really are against what he's done, and I understand that because I am too, but it doesn't matter. I can differentiate the actor from the person, right? The artist from the person. There's a lot of him in the film. The effects of this movie, so there was some pretty impressive stuff involving time travel. There was some really cool stuff, but it did very much look unfinished. Now, again, I don't know if that's because the movie is actually unfinished and we're going to get more, more polished CG when it comes out, or because the movie actually looks like that. But they did say it was unfinished. They did tell us that. I'm pretty sure it's almost finished because all the stuff in the movie, the actors' performances, all that stuff, it was there. There were a couple of scenes that were rearranged from what I said in the original spoiler video. It was all pretty much the same thing. There were some changes, like I mentioned near the end, and there were some scenes that were moved around. So, for example, there's a scene involving Supergirl, that's not a secret, it's in the trailer, and they moved it to like earlier than where I thought it was going to be. Things like that, just little things like that I thought were just minor changes. There's an opening scene with the Flash saving like a hospital. The scene did not look very good. The CG did not look good at all. But again, I'm going to give them a break. Maybe it was unfinished. Please be aware of this when you listen to this video. They told us that. So it didn't look that good at all. The other thing that I thought was a big letdown, right? I'm going to give you the good and the bad, is I did not like the way that Iris West's character was written. I did not like that at all. I thought it was a waste of Iris West. I thought that they could have done a lot more with that character and Barry Allen. Again, the story is mostly focused on Barry and the Flashpoint storyline, or at least their modified version of it. I did not like the way she was portrayed. Kiersey Clemons does a good job playing her, but there isn't much there at all. Like, some of that stuff just didn't come off the way I kind of was hoping it would. And some of it just came off bad. Also, speaking of coming off bad, some of the jokes were straight up cringe. Like, just being real with you. Like, some of the jokes were funny. There were a couple parts where I straight up laughed out loud. Some of the jokes were cringe. Also, Sasha Calle as Kara Zor-El, which was Supergirl. I thought she was fine. She was cool. She had a couple of cool fight scenes, again, with some of the wonky CG, but she was cool. She didn't have much to say, but she wasn't annoying, and it did not come off quote-unquote woke. It didn't come off that way at all. They actually do explain where Kal-El is in this timeline. So if you're a fan of Kal-El, Superman, they do explain where he's at. There is an explanation. You may not like what it is, but there is an explanation. Also, besides that, putting all of that aside for just a moment, there is a scene in this movie that I was not told about. It had to have been added later, involving, let's just say, different timelines. I'm just going to leave it like that. That is going to be an absolute insane fanboy moment. I don't want to talk about it here. I'm going to discuss it in the spoiler review. The theater was going absolutely nuts. I was losing my mind. This is like beyond just a regular Easter egg. There were people who were notably almost crying. I heard people like weeping. And there's a very emotional scene near the end involving Barry and his mom that, let me tell you, if you have ever lost a parent, you need to really, it's gonna hit you. It's gonna hit you. I'm telling you, man. Real powerful stuff, man. The stuff with Barry and his mom was super powerful. But there is a fanboy moment in this movie. Oh my God. All I'm gonna say is, if you've watched other DC movies and TV shows, If you are into a little bit of the meta, like some of the real world stuff, you are going to lose your mind. It's literally like an orgasm for the fans. It is a bit of like a member berry, but like, it is kind of like a lot of nostalgia bait, but I could not believe that I saw what I saw on screen. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I want to tell you so bad, but I'm gonna hold off because it is the best scene in the movie. I just couldn't believe they put all that in there. So yeah, emotional movie, some comedy. Not only was Michael Keaton playing Batman again, but they had the Danny Elfman Batman score, and I don't think Elfman scored this movie. I think the score Benjamin Waffish is the guy who scored this movie. The guy who did Shazam and It and Blade Runner 2049. He scored it, but the Danny Elfman score was here. So I went to see this movie because of Michael Keaton. That's why I went to go see this movie. So if you're a fan of that Batman, you're probably going to be happy. You're probably going to be really happy. There are things in this movie that I'm mixed about. I'm very worried about what they're going to do with this timeline because there's potential for them to do some really great stuff. Really great stuff going forward. We'll see what they do. We will see what they do. And I'm telling you, the post-credit scene, there's all kinds of rumors about George Clooney. I didn't see him there. But, and there's also a cameo from Aquaman, I'm not going to say who, that I was also not expecting. There's also another cameo from another super-powered member of the universe that I'm not going to go into. There are cameos in this movie. And I think it was a fun movie. I think most of you will enjoy it. I really do. But there will be some controversy. I'm telling you right now, you will feel a certain type of way. But man, did they really have fun with that time travel thing, bro. And there's like a real big twist near the end that was not in my original spoiler. I discussed some of it in the spoiler video I did 11 months ago, but they actually changed some things and gave it more story, and I like what they did with it. So overall, thumbs up experience. I like the movie a lot. Again, little bit too cringy and with the comedy. Some of it was really bad. It was really lame. Some of it was good. It just depends. I thought Iris was wasted. Supergirl was cool. Michael Keaton was great. He had great scenes all throughout the movie. A lot of Ezra Miller, though. A lot of Ezra Miller. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Take care.